nothing like love here. There is an act of parliament. We have a constitution that clearly spells out how we must treat a retired head of state. So that thing called experience you cannot buy. You cannot experience it. Okay? And you cannot pretend you have it because you don't have it. President Ruto has only been there for 2 years. He has never been president before. I think he was president of Christian Union. So this is a different ballgame.
You don't have to go there, but yeah.
This is a different ballgame. If he improves, he'll improve maybe from 46 to 40, 49, which is still a D. There is no hope in this man. There is no hope, Jade, man. There is no hope. We are finished as a country.
Oh my goodness.
A president performing D. What gives him the idea that he can do as he wishes? This is not his personal house. This is not so going. I think the president needs to stop being simplistic.
Is there a vacuum post-Raila?
Play one clip where Ruto has spoken truthfully.
A very good day to you and welcome to Philip Kisio Unscripted Conversations to shape the policy and political decisions our leaders are making in this country. These conversations, of course, come to you very simply and truthfully with a hard-hitting Philip Kisio. He says it as he says it. He doesn't mince his words. Today we're talking about Uhuru and Ruto. They had a telephone conversation with regards to Uhuru getting his pensions. His office needs to be funded, he needs his vehicles, and then his personal staff also need to be paid. But this conversation was brought by the Director of Communications in State House, Kanze Dena, says things are bad. That's my conversation with Philip Kisio. We're going to talk about that, but before we do, Philip, welcome to the set. Philip is a leadership and governance expert, former Nairobi town clerk. He's been at KEPSA. He has done a lot for this city. How are you doing, sir?
Jed, I'm okay.
New week?
I was okay until you said that Uhuru's personal staff, they are not personal staff. These are staff that are employed by the state. They are not his personal staff. I'm sure Uhuru has a lot of personal staff. But anyway, let me not start on that note.
We will go there.
You have dampened my spirits.
Because we need to know
why. You have dampened my spirits. You are one of the people who believe that they are owed something by this government. No. People pay taxes, Jed.
We'll get to that conversation because why does he even need an office? He's retired. Will tell me that. But what are your highlights on this particular Thursday?
Jed, a busy week. I think there are things to be happy about. At least there are 2 or 3 things that caught my eye. The first one was a prayer from my pastor, Pastor Mike. If you didn't know, I go to church most of the times. That's why I have a fairly strong foundation and background. And then the statement that was made by Ambassador Meg Whitman. And of course, the last one is the prayer for Kenya Air Force that was attended by His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya. But allow me to read
the prayer.
The prayer, because this really uplifted me, and I felt comforted and encouraged. Sometimes you don't know whether you're doing the right thing because others will sing praise, others are genuine about it, and others will, of course, be very unhappy with what you say. But the prayer goes like this, Jed. Thank you for being consistent, bold, and courageous in holding our leaders to account. May the Lord give you wisdom, grace, and strength and guide you through all this. May He protect you and your family. May He watch over you and your family. I think if there's nothing else I gained this week that is about to end, was that prayer. It's a very powerful prayer, and it gave me a lot of hope and encouragement.
Talking about consistency and courage.
Yes.
Comforting your family.
Yes.
Is this thing difficult?
Sometimes it can be draining. Sometimes it can be quite challenging. But when you receive a prayer from a man of worship, and I can tell you, our pastors don't receive brown envelopes. They hardly go to State House. They have no business going there, like the ones that you know. But the second thing that was very profound is, of course, the celebration of Kenya Air Force. And congratulations to the Kenya Air Force on their 60th anniversary. I think they have done this country proud. We never had a problem other than the small little problem we had in 1982. Jed, you were not born. I don't even think that your parents had.
Was somewhere in the
I don't even think you're in the plan anywhere. If you were in the plan, maybe in the Kenya Kwanza plan. But you see, what really caught my attention was the fact that a whole president of a republic, you know, a president is supposed to be guided. A president, once you made a policy pronouncement, you cannot change it in a matter of 4 weeks. And you know, a very weighty matter. The president, about 4 or 5 weeks ago, had actually issued a roadside statement to the effect that he was giving approval for developers to, you know, start building storied buildings to the height of 25 floors, in fact up to 30.
Yeah.
And you know, I was born in Nairobi. In fact, I can say I'm privileged to have lived for many years, from 1969.
Yeah.
Yes, no, I was born before then, but we lived in California from 1969 up to the time I went to college.
Yeah.
So, and California actually is right on the flight path, because from our apartment, we could see the aircrafts actually landing at about our height. Remember, we were living on the 4th floor, so we'd see the aircraft actually now making approach at about our height. So I was wondering, when the president was actually issuing a roadside statement to the effect that Kenyans can start building 25, 30 floors, I was wondering how the jets would maneuver through such a height. And in fact, I was wondering whether the president had actually now qualified to be a planner, because I know him as a good botanist. But now he was venturing into a field that is not competent.
He's a doctor.
You know, he seemed to be a doctor of everything, a doctor of everything. He's a botanist. But on matters planning, I would encourage him to go slow and consult before making such a pronouncement that really make him look very, very bad. And in fact, they make him look extremely incompetent. Because what about the people? You know, this is a very weighty matter, Jed. What about the people who bought land during that 1 month? You know, I read mischief here. Did the president have some cronies who are offloading land within that 30 days? Was he giving them a window to offload land to unsuspecting developers, hoping that they will build storied buildings to 30 floors? I think the people who transacted and who bought land based on that fact, based on that statement issued by His Excellency the President, must take the man to court. He must be presented to court. He must be sued for making a very a policy statement that has sent people into losses.
So you think the president has misled people?
He has misled people. And I want you at a certain point to play that video, because you cannot, as a head of state, make such statements that are not informed, that are not factual. These are statements that make him look terrible and a big liar. Of course, the last one, but I leave it to those people who could have fallen into the trap of buying land. And I suspect he must have had some cronies who wanted to offload land. I suspect. Now, then there's this lady called Ambassador Whitman, and I respect her for doing a good job. That's what an ambassador is supposed to do. An ambassador who has been sent to represent a country represents your interests in terms of trade and espionage, okay? And she has done extremely well. When our president went to the US and we are claiming that he came with goodies. He came empty-handed, you know. But Whitman, you know, she won because they signed business deals running into billions of shillings. But when she comes here and she makes herself a self-appointed cheerleader, she even calls herself the chief marketing officer for the Kenya Kwanza government, and then goes further to tell Kenyans to be patient with the president because he is doing a good job. What the hell is she talking about? This is the first time since independence we've had an American ambassador being so cozy with a regime that is overly corrupt, extremely incompetent, okay, and a regime that does not believe in good governance. You know, I'm actually shocked that Ambassador Whitman can actually associate herself and go into bed with such a regime, because we know Americans for being very strict in matters to do with corruption, for being very strict in matters to do with good governance. This ambassador has performed terribly bad on that front. But she's done very well in terms of representing her country's interest, because when you tell us as Kenyans that that your president is doing a good job, and the latest opinion poll has given President Ruto a D at 46%, a D at 46%. The principal assistant gets another D at 42%. The highest performing minister, Kithure Kindiki, gets a B, in fact a B minus at 60. Then others are at about 52, that is Duale, and I think the other one is my friend Ababu. And then all the rest are below 50%.
This is data from...
All the rest are below 50%. In fact, you know, if these fellows were running a private company and Ruto was the MD, the board would have fired Ruto. Because this is the second year running, he is performing below average. And the entire cabinet, other than 2 or 3 people, are above average. Ruto should have been sacked if, you know, we were in a private sector setting. But he's very fortunate that Kenyans are very patient, that they can give him 2 years running, scoring below average, scoring a D. So you see, even he cannot take action. How can he take action when he's performing even poorer than his own appointed minister? He is poor. Is poor, is a D. A D is bad by any standards. D is D. D is bad. D is actually bad. It's very bad. And this man, if I were him, actually, I should have been ashamed and resigned. You cannot for 2 consecutive years, 2 years, you are doing a D. A D. What, do we even have hope for the next coming financial year? There is no hope. What this man was, if he improves, he'll improve maybe from 46 to 49, which is still a D. There is no hope in this man. There is no hope, Jade, man. There is no hope. We are finished as a country.
Oh my goodness.
A president performing D. We are gone as a country.
Why are we here, Kisia?
We are dead.
D for dead.
Dead. D. Dead. Dog. Dead. Everything. Bad.
I wanted to ask some
How can this man even sack anybody? How can he even talk about performance? How can he lead us? And he's performing D, for heaven's sake.
Tell me, what is the missing? What is the missing link between the president and the people that they are voting or they are giving him a D when it comes to this InfoTrack polls?
You see, it's not about InfoTrack polls. These are people speaking back to you. The polls are not InfoTrack. InfoTrack is just an agent who has carried out the opinion poll. It's a survey, rather, a survey. And Kenyans are saying, Mr. President, you are dead, you are D. It's nothing to do with InfoTrack. InfoTrack is just reporting what the people are saying. So, I mean, how does it end up being an InfoTrack report? This is your report. And where is the disconnect? You're saying, why did the president and the people end up electing this man? It's fraudulent. Because he presented a good picture. And there are so many videos you can play where he promised heaven where he promised milk and honey. We didn't know he was going to feed us on chili sauce.
Let's continue this conversation. I'm hearing Eunice and Sally, our camera people, are extremely laughing. But our conversation for today is about Uhuru Ruto. What is happening? There's this conversation about allegations that are coming from the Director of Communications, Kanze Dena, and she's saying that the president has to personally cover office expenses and paying some of the staff members. I think 2 have not been enrolled in the system. The State House, they call it, has refused to put them in. When you look at this situation, Kisia, is this showing us a broader political tension between President Ruto and Uhuru, despite Hussein Mohammed coming out and telling us that they had a telephone conversation, they have formed a sort of committee, and they're going to look at these allegations?
You know, Jed, it's not about a love affair here. It's not about love. It's about the Constitution. It's about the law. If you look at America, they have what they call the Federal, I think the Federal Retired Act of 1958. It's a federal act, 1958, where it clearly spells out the benefits that accrue to a retired president. And they are followed to the latter. It's not about love.
Yeah.
When President Obama left office, who took over? A Republican.
Yeah.
We got President Donald Trump. When Don came in, he didn't mistreat Obama, and they come from 2 different parties. But these are people who are civilized. These are people who respect the Constitution, because there is an act of parliament, okay, that protects former or retired presidents. And theirs has been into play from 1958, and they followed it.
Oh.
And when I was looking at that act, a federal act, I was amazed. Do you know how much a retired president is paid according to the act? On annual basis, other than, of course, security, medical cover, and what have you, they are paid $220,300. Which works out to a salary of the president of Kenya, monthly salary. Can you imagine a superpower paying the president about, it's about what? About $20,000? Or less? About $20,000?
2015.
That is what we pay our president here for a poor nation that keeps on begging. It's always on a begging mission.
Yeah.
Okay? And here we are guided by the Presidential Retirement Benefit Act of 2003. Yeah? I think notice number 11. Okay? So, Jed, there is nothing like love here. There is an act of parliament. We have a constitution that clearly spells out how we must treat a retired head of state. And you see, then I would want you to play this video, the one when Kibaki took over, and he was at State House. You know, the first statement he made. Just look for that video.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've gone through a lovely election, and Kenyans, we need to thank them in a great way. They have given an example to Africa and to the world that people determined will always achieve what they want to achieve. We shall fight corruption. That's the only way we are going to have a new nation. Without fighting it, we are wasting our time.
You see, I just want to make a contrast between how a civilized person behaves and a person who is not civilized. I'm not saying that anybody is uncivilized, but look at...
You're not saying what you're saying.
No, I am saying, look at President, even his demeanor, even his way of communicating. He's a civilized man. This is somebody who had 3 presidents, vice presidents in his term. He had Kijana Michael Wamalwa, may God rest his soul in peace, eternal peace, We have my neighbor, Uncle Mudi Awori, and he had Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka. 3 in 10 years. Look at the way he treated his principal assistants, with the decorum, with civility, with the culture, and he was not afraid even to delegate to these people. You saw how Wamalo operated for the few months he was in office, with a lot of confidence, and the president would send him on missions. Look at the way Mudi Awori operated. Yeah? So when you have a principal assistant who you choose, he is never chosen for you. And then you start mistreating that person, okay? It is shameful. But look at the decency of that occupant, the occupant of that office that time. Just look at that air. It even uplifts the office. It makes the office, you know, what it is. But when you look at now the current players, it is as if they were not ready to take over. You know, they just happen to be there and they are so excited. 2 years down the line, they are still excited. You know, it's like, forgive me for this, Nani Jed. Okay, I know maybe you came from Moranga, I don't know. But forgive me for those who came from Ocha, you know, guys of city. We call you guys, wow, Jamal, villagers, the villagers. You know, you guys who came from the village. The first thing you want to come and see those years was KICC and pose and take a picture. These guys are still doing that thing, that stuff. They're still mesmerized. And 2 years down the line, instead of now running with the vision that we were left, the shared vision that we have, Vision 2030, they still want to floss. You know, the things they do are so backward, showing us the belts they're bought, the motor vehicles are bought, you know, just flossing. So you know, let me tell Jed, listen to me. This is an act of stupidity. Yeah? And, you know, it's childish. You can only expect a child to behave that way, the way these people are behaving. You know? So it is, I mean, you see, even, I mean, it's terrible. How can you explain such behavior?
So now
how can you explain such behavior?
Now you're looking at Uhuru Kenyatta having to talk to the Director of Communications, issue this statement, we're not getting
Jed,
money.
Listen, I said it is not about love. we have an act, number 11 of 2003 that says what are, because even this Ruto, President Ruto, His Excellency, will one day leave office, either through an election, or if Kenya don't decide to recall him before 2027, but one day he'll be out of office. So how does he want us to treat him when he leaves office? Look at the way Kibaki, despite the fact that there was some mistreatment that Kibaki went through with Daniel Arap Moi, but when he took over, he forgot, because he said, now I'm a president, I cannot be petty. But you see, we have a president who is sending this, the ones I refer to as bulldogs, these two little bulldogs, puppies. They go and cause damage, and then you pretend that you didn't know what was happening, and then I say you are picked up, and then you get these small boys of yours to come and tweet and say now they had a phone conversation. A phone about what? There are better things those two gentlemen can do.
There ought not to be a conversation.
What conversation are they having?
Constitution system.
What conversation are they having?
Then tell me.
If there's to be a conversation, there are better things to talk about, and not to talk about things that are obvious, things that should be done, things that should be implemented, things that should flow in a civilized community.
Tell me,
we are so uncivilized.
How important is a retired president, say Uhuru Kenyatta? How important is it for him to have a fully functional office? And what roles do such offices run? Because you'd hear people on the street talking about, Siali retire. Why does he need an office? Isaac Mwaura comes and says, oh, he wants to play landlord and tenant. He wants to take his personal home to become an office. Does Uhuru need an office? Does Uhuru need 34 staff? Do retired presidents need all these perks that come after retirement?
You see, Jed, that's a good question.
Yeah.
It is Kenyans who saw it fit to have that act, or to capture it in the constitution, that this is how we must treat a retired president. You cannot come back and ask, is it necessary? If you think it is unnecessary, because we are the ones who decided, we can actually amend the constitution, we can change it, we can change whatever we want, okay? But for the time being, it is there, we must live with it. But you ask me, what are the roles? But before I get to the roles of, what I think the roles of a retired president are, because even Ruto one day will be retired. Either whatever through means, but he'll get out of office. These so-called spokespersons, whatever they are, I think clearly they either don't understand their roles, yeah, or they do not have, they have not been trained in what the jobs that they, that the jobs have been given are too big for them.
Why would you
They're too
assume
big
that
for them.
of Maura
Because you see,
Hussein?
for the first time in history, we've had spokespersons issuing statements that are not factual. Okay? Statements that are embarrassing. Because what this young friend of mine, Hussein, said didn't make sense. And in fact, what Maura then said even made it worse. Because they are not telling us where the 1.1 billion shillings disappeared to. Because it was allocated, money allocated, but not dispersed. But anyway, let me come back to the issue of...
does he need an office?
does he need an office? You know, it is only in Kenya where you mistreat people who are retired. You know, Jed, this thing we call experience cannot be acquired even through the best university, management university like Harvard. You cannot.
Experience.
Okay? Experience. You must experience it. You must learn through the environment. You can learn through other people who have been there by watching and trying. Okay? So it's not something that you go and buy from a shop. So anybody who has held an office like Uhuru or Muigai for 2 consecutive terms, he has gained experience. He has gained local experience, international experience. He has been exposed. There are certainly things that he learned how to do and even how to do better. There are mistakes that he made along executing his mandate that he learned, and he can share those experiences with the person who has taken over from him. So that thing called experience you cannot buy. You cannot experience it. Okay? And you cannot pretend you have it because you don't have it. President Ruto has only been there for 2 years. He has never been president before. I think he was president of Christian Union. You know. So this is a different ballgame.
You don't have to go there, but yeah.
This is a different ballgame.
Yes.
No, these are facts.
Yeah.
Jade, don't tell me how to go. These are facts of life. Okay? Then, of course, you see, when you treat your president, retired president, again, you can use that person as an ambassador. Okay? Local ambassador. And even foreign, you can send it to where there's conflict, to resolve conflict. A retired president, that office is also a symbol of continuity. That we had this one, we transited to another one, and things are still flowing smoothly. So it gives people hope. It reminds you that this is a country that is prospering based on rule of law, that you can come, do your bit, leave the steering to somebody else, and that person. So it's a vision. It's just an affirmation of our vision. The retired president or presidents is a symbol of unity. Because you see, when they leave office, there are certain functions that can be delegated by the current president. Challenges. So
you cannot do away with the office.
You see, you cannot sweep that under the carpet. You need, and only a stupid fellow would run away from somebody who has knowledge and experience.
You
It's only an idiot who do that. Nobody else
You
can do
mentioned
that.
something interesting about Kibaki, how he took over power and didn't mistreat Daniel Toroitich arap Moi. Question is, why is this happening only with Ruto to Uhuru? It didn't happen before. Have you thought of that? Why is Ruto doing this to Uhuru?
You see, I think, Jed, it's lack of, lack of good manners. I would say that. Because why would you disrespect not only your predecessor, but somebody who has been your boss for 10 years? Actually, why would you disrespect somebody who actually made it possible for you to be a deputy president for 10 years? Why would you disrespect somebody who gave you the opportunity? Because it's a known fact that in the first 5 years of Jubilee and the URP, is a known fact that those people who are there had it good and they made money and they did business. You must not forget that. It's a fact. This is a fact that you are there and you felt good about it. Because if you didn't feel good about it, if you're not benefiting, okay, from that arrangement, you would not have gone with the same person a second time.
Yes.
If that marriage was so bad, why did you stomach round 2? If you know that the first, the first birth was so bad, was terrible, why would you get pregnant the second time? So you'll avoid. You run away, especially with the same man.
So they had some sort of
So-
agreement.
You see, it's not about having agreement. I have just said that, my president and good friend, President Ruto, needs to relook at himself through a mirror and ask himself whether he's doing the right thing or not. Because if he's taking Uhuru Kenyatta and his family, and worse still, mistreating our grandmother, Mama Ngina Kenyatta, our grandmother and our mother. And I promise this, Jed, before I go down, I'll ever be the president of this republic or the minister, in fact, in 2027, the minister of internal security and national coordination. I will not mistreat Ruto's mother, because she's our mother. I will not even mistreat Ruto, because I would want to show him how people who are cultured, people who are brought up well, behave. You don't misbehave. You don't become arrogant because you have power. Power is transient.
I like the way you call him your friend. He's
my friend.
Since you started these shows,
He is my very good
he's
friend.
not your friend because he watches. He doesn't like you anymore. But tell me this, what strategies can be put into place this year? Because
see-
now we have a committee being formed, right? We have a committee being formed and everyone's talking about we have to look at these stories. Kanze Dena telling us the truth. What should we put into place to look at how our retired presidents can...
We are running away from the fact. First of all, even if I answer that, what's the way forward? You are talking about Maura, my friend. My friend,
I told
Maura.
you, they're not your friends
You know,
anymore,
whether they have run away from me, that's their bit. But they're still my friends. You see, the question that we want to ask is, money was allocated for that office for 2 financial years. Is 1.1 billion. Kanze has come out with the facts. Kanze has come up with the receipts to prove that they have been funding the offices. Okay?
Yeah.
Let the state tell us where that 1.1 billion disappeared to. I think somebody must be taken to task. And, I have not had the controller of
State House.
State House, or even, let them come out clearly. If that money has been misappropriated, is 1.1 billion, the least President Ruto can do is to get these people in jail, locked up. Otherwise, the assumption is that that money has been looted, and it has been looted under his nose, because that budget is in State House, 1.1 billion shillings. The other thing that, Jed, that, that we must not run away from, they talk about conflict of interest. I would have thought the same. But there's been precedents. The late Arap Moi lived not too far from here. Okay? Cabernet Gardens. That was his home and office. So there's precedence. Number two, there is a written opinion by the office of the Attorney General. Who is your legal advisor? What the hell? What business do you have to go against an opinion that has been issued by your legal advisor? Your principal legal advisor said, this is in order. What business do you have to tell, and it's a matter of preference. If the president is a budget, it's our money. If the retired president says, I prefer running my office from here, he is better placed to tell us why. And we don't even have a business, so long as it doesn't go out of the set budget. What is important is to operate within budget. But let us not get
conflict of
how can it be conflict?
Says you cannot be a landlord.
Listen,
and a tenant.
no, Jed. You have already got a legal opinion from your principal advisor, and he has told you clearly that there's no conflict. Who are you? Who the hell are you? Who the hell are you? This is not your money. It's not your money. These people should stop mistreating Mama Ngina Kenyatta. They should stop mistreating Uhuru Kenyatta and his family. I want to tell my good friend Kindiki and this young man called Ishungwa that they will not be in power forever. Today you're in power, tomorrow you'll be out of power, and if they continue behaving the way they're behaving, I can tell you without fear of any contradiction that Kenyans are going to remove them from office in a very bad way. Come 2027, maybe earlier, I don't know.
So to answer my question, follow the constitution for them?
Yes, I think you asked,
what we should do.
What can we do? Jed, I said it's not love. It's not a love affair. You're not doing anybody a favor. This is what has been enacted in law. There's an act of parliament. It's in the constitution. Follow the law to the letter. Please don't misbehave. Don't treat us to some comedy, some show. Don't behave in an arrogant manner. Don't behave as these are personal resources. Don't behave as these are your family resources. Or these are your resources we are receiving from your parents, that they can decide what you are getting, what you are not getting. Please have some good manners.
Gotta wrap it up. Uhuru versus Ruto. Again, that is the conversation we've had. They are going to have a telephone they had a telephone conversation. State House has promised that they will deal with this situation so that we see what is best for our retired president. But what do you think about this situation? Why do you think Ruto or State House, let me not say Ruto, is withholding budgets for retired President Uhuru Kenyatta? KCR, before we wrap up, final word before I see you again tomorrow.
Jed, I want to remind my very good friend, His Excellency President William Samoei Ruto, that power is transient. You are there today, you'll be out tomorrow. That is why Jomo is down. Jomo Kenyatta was here. Where is he? Down with the Creator. He went down, we're hoping he's up. Where is Arap Moi? He was here. We saw him. 24 years. He went down, we're hoping he's up. Where is Mwai Kibaki? He was here. He went down, we're hoping he's up. Now we have the young man, Kamwana, left, Uhuru Kenyatta. He is still with us here. He will go down, I'm hoping he'll go up. He is the fifth. He is here today. He will certainly go down, maybe even 8 feet if he's allowed. But we hope that he'll go up because he's a good man and a man of God. Finally, let me quote what my good friend PLO said. PLO reminded us, because I came across his tweet. He said, In Japan, people who are corrupt, people who mismanage public funds in Japan, they just kill themselves. They don't wait. They don't wait for the corrupt courts or what have you. They just shoot themselves and they are buried. You know, that's how seriously people take some of these issues. In China, executed. They put a black cloth on your head and they fire you and you go. In Europe, they are a little bit modest. They just jail you and you certainly go to jail. They don't waste time, you go to jail. In Africa, it's only where you are rewarded when you murder, when you steal public funds and what have you. I think it is time for Kenyans and Africa to learn, if there's nothing else I can get from a country like Japan and China and Europe, one thing they should take is taking matters to do with corruption a bit more seriously. Maybe because I don't see Kenyans, because Kenyans love themselves. I don't see themselves shooting themselves because of they have stolen public funds. Themselves. But I am looking forward to a day when we'll be so efficient that these people who steal public funds are put behind bars within less than 6 months.
Well, what a conversation. What a conversation. Thank you for tuning in to Philip Kissi Unscripted. If you've never shared our link before, share it with as many people as possible, because these conversations, as you've heard, do shape the political and policy decisions that happen within our country. Thank you to the crew around. Until we do talk again, have yourself a lovely rest of your day.
What gives him the idea that he can do as he wishes? This is not his personal house, this is not for going. I think the president needs to stop being simplistic.
Is there a vacuum post Raila?
Play one clip where Ruto has spoken truthfully.